You might be doing everything right, working hard, saving when you can, trying to get out of debt. But still, the feeling is that you're always running after money and never catching up, right? It's as if there's a secret game in progress, and you started with the wrong cards. Here's a truth that almost no one has told you. Money doesn't just obey mathematics, it obeys principles, and those principles are universal. They work with any salary anywhere in the world. The problem is that most people never learn them, because in school, they taught us the rule of 3, but they never taught us the rule of freedom. In this video, I'm going to show you 11 invisible foundations that govern real financial growth. They aren't magic formulas, they are principles that give you control, clarity, and true progress, even starting with very little. And if you apply them consistently, your relationship with money will never be the same again. Now the question is, are you going to keep reacting to your financial life, or are you going to take control once and for all? If your answer is yes, join me until the end. First, live below your means. You don't need to earn a fortune to build wealth. First, you need to spend less than you earn. It seems simple, but that's where many stumble. With every income increase, the lifestyle also increases. A bigger house, a new car, more expensive dinners, and then the money keeps disappearing just like before. Financial freedom doesn't start with more money, it starts with an intelligent lifestyle where you live below your means and use the rest to build your future. Listen to this. Many people who are rich today use the zero-based budgeting method to get out of chaos. That means assigning every cent a purpose before the month begins, giving it a name, a destination, and a reason. You can combine this with the famous 50-30-20 rule: 50% for needs, 30% for wants, and 20% for your future self. And here's the key trick. Do a monthly review, because life changes, numbers change, and you also need to adjust the plan. No one builds a castle with loose bricks. The truth is this. Financial discipline is worth more than any high salary, because no matter how much you earn, if you spend it all, it's like trying to fill a bucket with holes. Now, when you learn to live with less, you gain power. The power to choose, the power to invest, the power to say no to debt and yes to growth. And the best part is this works in any country in the world. You just need to apply the principle and stick to it. Second, pay yourself first. If you don't put yourself first, no one will. Most people honestly spend everything on bills, credit cards, rent, and only then, if there's anything left, they think about themselves. The problem is, there's almost never anything left, and so they spend years running in circles just paying bills without really moving forward. But those who truly build wealth, they do something different. They pay themselves first. Before any expense, they set aside a portion of their income to invest in their own future. It works like this. Before paying any bill, save at least 10% of your income for yourself, not to spend but to grow. Invest in knowledge, courses, books, mentorships, really anything that increases your value in the market. Because when you become more valuable, money starts looking for you, and you don't need to start with a lot, just start with what you have. But start now. Whoever waits for leftovers to invest in themselves honestly never starts. There's a phrase that sums it up perfectly. An investment in knowledge pays the best interest. And you know what's craziest? When you prioritize yourself, the world starts to prioritize you too. Opportunities appear, the right people come along, and best of all, you realize you no longer need to ask for permission to grow because now you're the one running the game, and that changes everything. Third, define your priorities. If you don't know what you want, you'll end up spending on anything. And worse, believing you're enjoying life, but deep down, you're just accumulating expensive distractions that pull you away from what really matters. Having financial freedom isn't about saying yes to everything. It's about learning to say no with clarity, because whoever wants everything at the same time builds nothing. The first step is to stop and ask yourself, what do I really want to achieve with my money? Freedom, security, travel, investing, more time with family? When you understand it, the plan starts to make sense, and that's where the secret comes in. Use percentages to give weight to what matters. For example, if you're allocating 20% of your money to experiences and only 2% to investments, it might be time to rethink your decisions. The truth is that every cent has a destination, and every destination has an opportunity cost. When you choose to spend on something, you are automatically giving up something else. That math is invisible, but it really defines your life. And there's a detail almost no one sees. Defining your financial priorities is, in practice, defining who you are becoming, because the way you use your money reveals what you truly value, and there's just no way to avoid that. Fourth, build an emergency fund. Life doesn't ask for permission to happen. A layoff, a health problem, an unexpected car issue, yeah, and whoever doesn't have a reserve panics. An emergency fund is like a bulletproof vest against scares. You hope you never have to use it, but when you need it, it can save your stability and your peace of mind. It doesn't have to be complicated. Start with a clear goal. Save the equivalent of 6 months of your essential expenses. This includes housing, food, transportation, and basic utilities. If you're self-employed or have a variable income, increase that cushion to 12 months. And where to keep it? In a separate, accessible, low-risk account that you won't be tempted to touch. The reserve isn't for generating returns, it's for protection. The funny thing is, a lot of people believe they can't save until life kind of forces them to, and then, well, they realize they actually could. They just lacked discipline. Having that fund really changes your behavior. You start making decisions more calmly, more logically, and with a lot less desperation. As the saying goes, he who has a reserve sleeps better. But there's a point almost no one considers. Sometimes, true financial freedom begins right when you stop living in fear of tomorrow. Fifth, make money circulate. Stagnant money rots. It might sound like an exaggeration, but honestly, it's real. When you accumulate and don't move it, fear takes over, inflation eats it from the inside out, and opportunities just pass by unnoticed. Wealth isn't just about saving, it's about making money work for you. Start with 10 to 20% of your income. It may seem small, but the difference is in the destination. Put that money into assets that generate returns, stocks, digital businesses, royalties, rentals, whatever makes sense for you. And it doesn't have to be something big. A small but consistent project has a better chance of growing than a great idea that is never executed. You know, the most curious thing is that many people are afraid to invest just because they don't really understand it, but then they end up spending their whole lives losing value by letting their money just stagnate. Have you ever heard the phrase, save what's left over? Well, the truth is, there's never anything left over. When you actually move your money with intention, you create this cycle. The money goes out, it generates value, and comes back even stronger. But here's a detail that few people really notice. Usually whoever is afraid to use money is also afraid to grow. Sixth, differentiate good debt from bad debt. Debt isn't really the villain here. The problem is most people go into debt just to appear wealthy, not to actually build wealth. It's kind of like using a match to light your way. Sure, it works for a second, but then it just burns your hand. The real secret is to understand this. There's debt that builds, and there's debt that destroys. Bad debt is what gives you immediate pleasure, but honestly, prolonged pain, like buying cell phones in installments, expensive clothes, or a car that's just beyond your means. All of that just chains you to monthly payments that don't add a single cent to your pocket. On the other hand, good debt has a totally different purpose. It pushes you forward. Taking out a loan for education, getting a strategic loan to start a profitable business, or even advancing an investment with a solid return, any of that can really be a lever, not a burden. Want to know if a debt is worthwhile? Ask yourself, is this going to generate more money in the future, or does it only give me momentary satisfaction? Because at the end of the day, debt is just a tool. And what defines whether it lifts you up or sinks you is the intention with which you use it. Seventh, evaluate risks and returns. The problem isn't risk. The problem is risk without preparation. While some are afraid of losing $100, others ignore that leaving money stagnant for years can cost thousands. Taking calculated risks is what separates those who grow from those who are paralyzed. But before any leap, you need study and strategy. A real example, many millionaires didn't get rich by avoiding risks, but by knowing exactly where they were stepping. They started small, tested, failed cheaply, and grew when they understood the game. The secret is in the concept of asymmetric return, looking for opportunities where the potential gain far outweighs the possible loss. And that, my friend, is only seen by those who study seriously. Eighth, reprogram your financial mindset. Most people want to change their bank account but keep the same operating system running in their head. It's like trying to install a new future using scarcity software. As long as you think like someone who is just surviving, you will never act like someone who is building. The first thing that has to change isn't your salary, it's your internal script about money. Ninth, combat lifestyle inflation. Earning more money solves nothing if every income increase is accompanied by a lifestyle upgrade. That has a name: lifestyle inflation. And it's a silent trap that prevents thousands of people from accumulating wealth, even after years of hard work, because they confuse more money with more consumption instead of more freedom. 10th, value your network as an asset. Have you heard that your network is your net worth? It's not just a nice phrase. The right people shorten paths, they place you where money alone can't reach. While most try to climb alone, the smartest build invisible bridges with the right people, and that's worth more than any academic degree. 11th, find your why. Having money is good, but having a clear reason to build it is what transforms effort into a mission. When the goal is just to save money, motivation disappears at the first obstacle. But when there's a purpose behind it, something that goes beyond the bank balance, the journey takes on meaning, even on the most difficult days. Conclusion. Are you going to stay in the race, or are you going to change the rules of the game? Financial freedom doesn't start with a raise, it starts with a decision to stop ignoring what really matters. These 11 principles are not tricks or esoteric secrets, they are daily choices, simple actions that when they accumulate put you on a path that almost no one dares to travel. Most still live as if wealth were a matter of luck, but those who understood the game live as if wealth were a consequence. And now it's up to you to decide. Are you going to apply what you've learned, or are you going to let this video be just another one? Answer me in the comments. Which of these 11 principles do you need to apply today, or which one has already changed your way of thinking? And of course, if this content made sense to you, subscribe to the channel, activate the notification bell, and share it with someone who also needs a change. Here, I don't just talk about money, I talk about mindset, purpose, and freedom. A big hug, and may God